One of the first things you'll notice about Cubase 9.5 is that the Devices menu has been replaced with the Studio menu, because the Devices menu is getting pretty tall, and so they've condensed a lot of the features inside of this new Studio menu, and some of the lesser used features like the MIDI Device Manager and MMC Master Panel have been located into the More Options submenu. And there's some other things in the Studio menu that have been renamed. You'll notice that the VST Connections has now been renamed Audio Connections, and you'll see that the key commands have been retained, so you won't have to learn a bunch of new keyboard commands. It's just that the names have been renamed. So if we go into Audio Connections, it's the same exact window as before, except that it's not VST Connections anymore, it's Audio Connections. And one other important thing has been renamed, and that's the Mix Console in the lower zone. It's now called Mix Console in the Project window, and that refers to this mixer down here that got added in Cubase 9. So if you wanted to show or hide the Mix Console in the Project window, you can select that option, and the keyboard shortcut is Alt or Option F3. And from what I can tell, they've really changed how much screen real estate that mixer can take up, or how little it can take up and still be visible, so I think they've made an improvement in that as well. Now, laptop users, or people that like to use Cubase without a physical MIDI keyboard, would use the virtual keyboard, but that's been changed a little bit too, because the virtual keyboard used to be part of the transport panel. So when you were looking at the transport panel here, you could right or control click and choose virtual keyboard from the top. But now that's been changed to its own window. So if you go under Studio and choose on-screen keyboard, instead of virtual keyboard, it's now the on-screen keyboard, that will open in its own separate window. So now the on-screen keyboard no longer needs to be part of the transport panel window, and that can be placed anywhere that you want on any screen. And since the Devices menu is now the Studio menu, instead of having Device Setup at the bottom, you now have Studio Setup. And almost all of this is the same, but there has been one important change, and I'll discuss that in the next video.